Hi everyone, welcome to today's new video. Today I will be giving you fall recommendations. So, since this September it is almost fall and we'll be reading a bit more fall books. And in my opinion, fall books are books that are just cozy and they're usually also fantasies. So I'll be giving you 5 fall recommendations. So actually let's start already. Is Fall Wing. You can't tell me that this is a summer book, because it's not. It is a fall book. This book is, well, it's not high fantasy, but it is fantasy. And it's about dragons, and it's about this war college. And our main character, Violet, she is a rider. And that means she has to ride a dragon, she has to fight in the war, and it is very high stakes and very fast paced. So this is definitely a great fall book. Also, there's some romance in it, and it is steamy. But also this just such a fall book because it has the most cozy vibes, and I love that. So Fall Wing is definitely a really good fall book. So the next book is The Cruel Prince Trilogy. This is actually the start of my reading journey. The Cruel Prince was the first book I ever picked up just for fun, because I had to read a lot of books for school, but they were never my thing. I just hated them. I looked up like a summary on internet, so I didn't have to read the book. But then I saw this in the bookstore and I picked this series up, and it was the best choice of my life. So this is definitely a fall book because it once again is fantasy, but it is also romance. And this is true enemies to lovers. So for everyone who's like, no, but enemies to lovers, it's always so dull because they're not really enemies. These people are enemies, like proper enemies. This is not really a spoiler, but also kind of is, but he pushes her in a lake where there are kind of like piranhas in there. So he tries to kill her. So there are definitely enemies. But like I said, it's an enemies to lover story, so everything works out well. But this is basically about a girl called Jude, and she's a human girl, but she gets kidnapped by a fairy together with her sisters, because one of her sisters is actually the daughter of a general. So the general comes to pick them up, and she lives in this fairy world, and there are all kind of things happening. There's a lot of trouble with the crown and with the king, and Jude wants to earn her place as, well, kind of a knight slash general, because obviously the man who brought her to this fairy world is a general and she wants to work for the king as well. So the first book is about basically that, and then the story evolves, and it's so good. It's one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, and these characters are just amazing. So if you want a good fantasy series, read this one. The first book is a little slow, but especially the last bit of the first book and the second book, also the third book, but they're all amazing. After you get through that slow part, the series is amazing. So definitely read it. So our third book is The Final Gambit, or actually just the whole series. The Inheritance game series gives me such fall vibes, because it is, well, it's not dark academia because it doesn't really take place in a school, but basically, if you don't know this series, it is about a girl who inherits a fortune. And because she inherits a fortune, she has to live in a house that belonged to the person who, well, gifted her this fortune. And he had 4 grandsons, and she has to live with them in a house, and there are all kind of things happening. There are a lot of games that she has to play, and it is honestly amazing and gives me such full vibes, because it's all about these games and this mystery, and there's a bit of romance, and this whole story is so fast paced. Because if you know Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing, she writes really short chapters and it's all very fast paced. So This book might be 400 pages long, but you will fly absolutely through it. A Court of Thorns and Roses, and this is a big series, and when you finish the series you will want to go into another series, so be aware that if you start this series you're in for a ride, which is like 15 books long. This series is not 15 books long, it is, I think it's 6 books long, or 5 maybe. But yeah, this is, people tend to describe it as fairy porn, which is not what it is. At least I've read 3 books up until now and I don't think it is. But this is about a girl, and she and her family lives in poverty. So she goes into the woods, she hunts a lot, and yeah, I don't know what to say without spoiling it, but basically she kills a wolf, which makes certain people very upset, and that's what sets this whole story going. So yeah, it is an amazing story. Definitely check out what this is about. Not that it's full of trigger warnings, absolutely not. But I do know a lot of people who don't like this series, but it's very specific. Like a specific kind of people like this. But I love this series, honestly. I think the characters are amazing and the story is amazing and the romance is amazing, because once again this is fantasy but it is romancy, and I love that. Our main girl, Feyre, is also, she's an amazing main character, and the romance, like I said, I love the romance in this. Yeah, so this is also a full book because it's fantasy, and yeah, just read it, just read it. We have the 5th and final recommendation for fall. Yes, the Six of Crows duology. This is also something I haven't read before, but I started Shadow and Bones and I didn't really like that one, but people keep saying this is much and much better. So don't hold me accountable on this one because I haven't read it, but I do want to talk about it because I am planning on reading it this fall. But what I know is that this is about like a heist, kind of. So when I think of a heist, I immediately think of La Casa de Papel. But I don't know if it's like that, but I know it's about this heist and it has the best found family in this book, this duology. And I also know someone probably dies in the second book because I saw people crying on Book Talk. I am not prepared for that. But I know it's about this heist and it's, I think, 6 friends who come together to do that heist, kind of. But I don't know much about it. But I know it's fantasy, found family, so actually all the good ingredients for a fantasy book. So that were my 4 recommendations. If you decide to read them, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And I'll see you next video. Bye bye!